Okay, folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here today to celebrate Terry Sellers and his wonderful career. We have many former student athletes here, and many folks from our community and campus, and thank you so much for being here. Just a couple of points of note. Way the program will work, Dr. Dorman will speak, and Dr. Harshbarger and myself, and then Coach Sellers will close it out. And while we'll talk a little bit up here, the talking can go and continue on as long as we want to afterwards. Just wonderful seeing the visitation and the folks coming up. And I know Terry's I know one of your first members from your first teams here, and appreciate everybody being here. So I look forward to watching those memories happen today. I know we have some of our current student athletes here as well, who are here to begin our season. Actually, we'll practice tomorrow for our fall sports, and so we thank you all for being here. Commissioner Brunk from the Peach Belt is here. Thank you for being here. Stan Aldridge, our former athletic director, is here, I know, and many of our family and friends. So thank you all for being here. So right now, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Dorman and let him bring you greetings and a few comments about Coach Sellers. And so president of our university, Dr. Steve Dorman.
Well, thanks, Wendell, and thanks to each of you for being here today. Coach Sellers, we're here to celebrate your remarkable career and to tell you how much we appreciate you and your dedication and loyalty to Georgia College and her students. 37 years in coaching is an amazing career. 37 years of doing anything is remarkable in itself, and we were privileged to have 21 of those 37 years here at Georgia College. I asked Wendell to estimate how many students would have participated on your teams during the 37 years, and he estimated it to be well over 300 people, 300 young men, and you've had a profound impact on the lives of these young men as they've transitioned into adulthood. How many of you could say, or how many of you would like to be able to say at the end of your career to sort of look behind your shoulders and see 300 people that you have had a major impact on? And that's what you've got. You've got hundreds of young men that you have made an impact on. You've rejoiced with them as they've made accomplishments in the classroom and on the court. You've been there for them when they've stumbled, both in competition and on campus. So you should take great pride and satisfaction as you go into the next phase of your life that you've impacted the lives of many. And that there are many men out there today who are business leaders, educational leaders, and community leaders who have learned some of life's most important lessons. And lessons about discipline, lessons about strategy, lessons about how to handle loss and how to be gracious in wins from you. But in addition to this, you have served as an ambassador of Georgia College. You've been on campus at our sister schools and programs. You've fielded teams throughout the years who've represented Georgia College to other colleges and universities. And you've represented Georgia College to students and to parents in the recruitment process. And you've done this admirably and with dignity and with the respect. So we thank you for that, and we say that this school owes you a debt of gratitude for your work. You know, when I get down to the end of my career, I hope someone will say two words to me. I hope I hear these words, and I'm going to say them to you. Well done. You've done a good job. Well done, Coach Sellers. Well done, Coach, on your work. I hope you and Terry have a wonderful retirement, many long years of retirement, that you get to spend some time with your family, and that you get to enjoy each other, and you get to enjoy your extended family, and you take some time and enjoy the things that life are really made of. Thank you so much for your dedication to Georgia College.
Good afternoon. I'm Bruce Harshbarger. I'm the Vice President for Student Affairs here. Athletics is in Student Affairs at the university. And I'm in my 20th year at Georgia College. I feel like I've been here just about forever. But Terry is the only Georgia College basketball coach I've ever known. He is the men's basketball program to me. So it's really an end of an era for me. Terry's legacy by the numbers, of course, is pretty profound. 548 victories, 350 of those at Georgia College. He brought this college 4 conference championships, was named the Peach Belt Coach of the Year 4 times. But as President Dorman pointed out, Terry's greatest legacy is the young men whose lives he's touched. I'll point out in particular that we have 3 of those young men on our basketball staffs right now, Mo Smith, Mark Gaines, and Ryan Aquino, and they are prepared to lead this athletic program into the future. We certainly appreciate the great foundation that Terry laid for them. Terry, I was going to mention some of the other outstanding student athletes he brought here. I don't think I'll try because there are so many of them out there in the audience today. One in particular we appreciated Terry recruiting was a combo guard by the name of Cooper Sellers, who was an outstanding student athlete for us and certainly a pretty prominent signee of his. So, Coach, thank you for all you've contributed to this program, to the athletic program, and to Georgia College as an institution. We'll miss seeing you on the sidelines, but we look forward to having you and Kathy and your family in the stands for Bobcat games for many years to come. Thanks.
Before I go any further, I would like to ask the Sellers family to please stand up and let's please give them a well-deserved round of applause. You know, coaching's a labor of love, and there's a lot of time gone from your family, and so I'm so pleased that you're all here today, and so pleased that Terry and Kathy are going to be able to spend even more time with his family. And Wayne, thank you for being over here today as well. Wayne always comes every year to our auction. We appreciate you being here, so thank you. As I kind of thought about this, I wanted to talk a little bit about, as I came up in coaching, about always playing against Terry's teams. And well, the one thing that they were always, that I would always describe them as overachievers. You look at any team they've ever had, they always overachieve. Whatever level of talent they have, they seem to go up one more notch. And I mean, that was, again, the case this year. It was the case in all 37 years, I can assure you. It's really phenomenal. I've often said this, and I mean this, and Toby and I will talk about this a lot, that Terry Sellers is one of the best basketball coaches in America, any division, any level. There's no question about it. The guy has been able to get more out of less than anybody you've ever seen. That's an incredible compliment to the way that the team's played. His team's always played incredibly hard. I mean, that was just a staple, and very, very disciplined, very, very team-oriented, certainly the former student athletes that are here now will attest to all that. But as we, Terry and I were riding to the conference tournament this year in Columbus, and talking, and he brought with him a picture of his first high school team at Hardaway, I believe, right? Yeah, at Hardaway. And it was really neat in that he had this great emotion attached to this team. And he started going down the list, and we're driving, and he said, he just looked at his team, and he started showing me about each player and telling me where each one was and all that. And, you know, that's why we all get into education, to impact lives. And the tribute of this today is about someone who has impacted hundreds and hundreds of lives, and those lives, if they spread out, and their children and their grandchildren eventually, and that's really why we all do this. And again, well done, as Dr. Dorman said. But that really meant a lot to me to hear him talk about that. And then when we met last week, and, you know, this was not a huge surprise. We've been, you know, discussing this, thinking that this may happen at some point. You know, I said, Terry, think about it. You've got great health. Your wife's retired. You're able to enjoy these grandchildren and time with your wife. And, you know, what a remarkable thing to have. And so I'm so happy that he and Kathy have decided to take this next venture together. And I think that as I looked at that, one of the things that he said was, Kathy will be driving back and forth a lot, and he wanted to spend time with her and go see the grandkids and go see Kathy's dad. And I just think that's a really remarkable thing. And Terry's a very, very humble person. When we set this up, I said, Coach, I really want you to put your humbleness aside and allow us to do this for you, because this is not easy for him. He's not comfortable talking about himself. But I said, it's important for us to do this for you. So I appreciate you allowing us to do this today. Thank you. And I just want to thank him for doing such a great job and leading so many people. And thank you for making my transition into this department a good one, and for laying a foundation for our program that has been laid in the right way with success written all over it. We've done it the right way. I've asked a couple of people, if Earl and John, if you just come on up if you would. I just asked him a few minutes ago. I said, Earl, would you come on up? And John, where you at? Yeah, I said, would you guys just mind coming up and talking a little bit about making a few comments? So Earl Grant and John Streisland. Earl was, as most of you know, is the assistant coach at Clemson, and I believe played on the Elite 8 team. Is that right, Earl? Okay, all right. And John, were you on that same team? Okay, all right. So two from our lone Elite 8 team. And so I thought, what better way to hear about these experiences and what Dr. Dorman talked about the lives of the young folks that he's touched. And I'll just let you hear directly from these guys. So Earl and John, it's all yours. Okay. Yes.
First of all, I would like to say, when I think back on my trek to Milledgeville, I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, and I went to junior college at Spartanburg Methodist. I really don't know how I ended up in Milledgeville. Every time I drive back, I'm trying to figure it out. How did I end up in Milledgeville? And, but I think back on my experiences here as a player and also as a coach. I coached here for 2 years after I graduated in 2000. We had a great experience of basketball. Obviously, we had a great mentor. And in 2002 is when I left. I coached from 2000 to 2002. But the one thing I remember is a lot of you young athletes actually are standing around here today attending this event. When I graduated in 2000, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I actually thought I almost ended up going into the Air Force. I had a degree in psychology, wasn't sure what I was going to do. And I got a call one Tuesday night. We didn't have cell phones, you had to call people on the house phone. So my dad said, hey, look, Coach Sellers called you. I'm like, what Coach Sellers want? I'm like, what he doing calling me? What's going on? We're done with the basketball stuff. I hadn't heard from him in like a month and a half. I wonder what Coach Sellers want. And so he said, hey, Earl, what you going to do? I said, well, I think I'm going to go into the Air Force, Coach. He said, well, I talked to Dr. Aldridge, and I know we got Coach Fox. He's coming back for 1 more year as a graduate assistant. But I talked to Dr. Aldridge, and he said, hey, look, we can have 2 graduate assistants. So you want to come back? And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I appreciate that. So I come back, and that's where my coaching career started. So started here at Georgia College for 2 years, and stayed for 2 years, and Coach didn't hire me after my 2 years. So I left. I guess that wasn't good enough. I left and went to the Citadel for 2 years. Then I left and went to Winthrop for 2 years. And I left and went to Wichita State, and now I'm at Clemson. But we stayed in touch the whole time. And really what I would say about Coach Sellers more than anything, like somebody asked me to give a quote the other day. Like, I think he's a great coach. Like, he got 548 wins, so obviously he's a great coach. But the thing that I remember, like I see the family down here, I remember going to his house, having dinner with the family. I remember going to the church, which is a couple blocks from here. I remember us doing a lot of team building exercises. And so he's a great coach, but I think what he really taught me was how important it was to be a great father, how important it was to be a great husband. Those are probably the things that I remember the most. This the experiences and him showing what it means to be a great father and what it means to be a great husband. And so I thank him for that. He did call me last week, and obviously you can tell their family's first because he called me last week. Like, we talk every other week. I mean, for the last, since I left, we talk all the time. I call him, he called me. And he called me General, and I call him Captain. And he don't even never call me Earl. He called me General. And so he called me last week, Wednesday. He said, hey, I think I'm going to give it up. And I said, really? He said, yeah, I think I'm going to give it up. I said, what's going on? Everything all right? He said, yeah, I got all my grandkids, and, my wife, she already retired, so she's going to be going up and down that road. And, man, I'm just ready to get in that car and go up and down that road with her. I said, that's a great reason to give it up. And the last thing I'll say, they said 37 years of coaching. I've been coaching for 14. If I'm blessed to coach for 23 more years, I just want to look like him, just as good as he looked when I'm done, so I can be with my grandkids and spend that time with my wife. So I think that's a blessing. I'm really pleased to be here and see everybody in the audience. I see so many people in here that I got so many good memories and friendships. I can't name them all. Cool, raise your hand, Cool. Cool never called me by his name. He never called me by my name. Cool is 85 years old. He never called me by my name. All he would say is, number 5. Go get that ball, number 5. Go get that ball, number 5. And I love him, all right? But there's a lot of guys, teammates, classmates. It's unbelievable. And this guy here had an unbelievable impact on me, and we'll be friends forever, all right? Congratulations.
Well, before I bring John up, I want you to bottle what he just said about the most important thing was he taught of the importance of being a good husband and a good father. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. So John Stringland, I remember doing a scouting report on him, and I said, man, this guy can shoot it, and he can shoot it from really deep. And if we'd take a step further out to defend him, and he'd take a step further back, and he'd shoot it again. And but a real guy who got a ton out of his ability. Terry and I have talked about him on many occasions about just how hard the guy worked. He's a very successful attorney now. I asked him to speak, and I said, don't give me your normal hourly rate. Let's roll that down a little bit. So he's going to do that. But soak this up as well. John Stringland.
When will that scouting report have something about how bad I was at defense at the time? I don't know if I can follow Earl in those sentiments, but I echo all of them. I'll tell you, just seeing Miss Sellers here and Catherine and Cooper and Earl mentioning about how much of an impact it had on him as a father and a husband and just as a family man. I can remember the Thanksgiving dinners that the Sellers would host at their house because a handful of us couldn't make it back to our homes for the short Thanksgiving break. And I remember the first time I ever had squash, and I believe broccoli, was Miss Sellers convincing me to eat it with some type of casserole that she had mixed it all in, and so I owe that to you. One thing Coach has taught me, though, I tell you, was I thought when I came here I knew what hard work was. I kind of thought I knew what being a good teammate was. I thought I had met some fairly intense individuals before I got here. All of those were proven untrue until I got here. Thought I knew what hard work was until I met the Peach Belt Hills and the Elite Eight. Had no idea what defense was, as the coach reminded me. He was scared to put me in the game because I couldn't guard the chair that I'd just gotten out of. I remember the first game. We had gone through preseason, obviously practice, and I had a pretty idea how intense Coach was, but never seen him in game mode. And first game, I believe it was an exhibition game. I remember sitting over here. Had no idea if I was going to play again because I would shoot. I don't know, just make them all, but I couldn't play any defense. He told me that several times. So I'm sitting on the bench, not knowing if I'm going to play. Everybody's lined up for the tip, and we don't get the tip. And I remember his reaction was to kick the floor and yell, "Dang it," because we didn't get the opening tip. And I thought to myself, this is what I got myself into. This was it. And from then on, you just taking his lead. I learned what hard work was about. Certainly learned what comes from hard work. Playing on teams with Earl and some of these other guys out there, winning championships is part of it, but all that develops the camaraderie. And walk in the door and see Rashard and Earl, and I get to talk to some of them on the phone some, but it's like he's never left, So appreciate that. Coach Sellers, my dad's here. My mom obviously had a huge impact on my life, but I would say outside of them, you had as big of an impact as anybody else, and I probably wouldn't be standing here today without it. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, John Earl. We talk a lot about the student-athlete experience, and right there, that's why we do what we do in education, and thank you guys for sharing that. Terry, I'm going to turn it over to you, and this is very fitting. After he's finished, we're going to certainly sit around and visit. We've got plenty of food and drink. And please sit around, take pictures, and if you're watching at home on Ustream, I know if you couldn't be here, send Coach Sellers an email, and he'll be able to get to that as well. But, Jerry, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to clear the stage out and let you have this thing all by yourself, and Dr. Dorman and Dr. Harshbarger and I will go down here and listen with everybody else. So thank you, and ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for Terry Sellers.
Thank you, Dr. Dorman and Dr. Harshbarger and Wendell for your remarks, and of course Earl and John for coming up here and saying a few words. And I'm just overwhelmed with the number of players, because that's why I've done this for 37 years. I look out and I see guys like Sammy Jackson and Andre White. Sammy's the head coach at Fort Valley State now, and I recruited Sammy about 1980 at the University of Montevallo. And he has made several coaching stops. And then Andre White, I recruited him to Montevallo. And then he followed me down to Patrick Henry Junior College and played for me down there, and was on my very first college team. So for those guys to make the effort is just really special. I want to thank everyone that's here today to, thank you for coming and supporting me on this special day. And I know that many of you traveled, long distances. But I want to stop and, give God the credit for the many blessings that I've had in my life. I've had good health. I've had a supporting family. I've had great friends, like I think Earl mentioned, Cool Marshall, and so many of you others out there that have been such good friends for a long time. And I've also had the opportunity to do something for 37 years as a profession that I've loved. I want to thank Georgia College for allowing me to work here for the past 21 years. I appreciate the faculty and staff, many who have supported our program for the last 21 years. I'm especially grateful to Dr. Don King and the search committee, along with Dr. Stan Aldridge, for making the decision 21 years ago to hire me as a men's basketball coach. I appreciate the dedication and hard work of the 4 assistant coaches that I've had since I've been here. Coach Peter Strayhorn and Coach David Sokol, Coach Andre White, and of course for the last 11 years, Coach Mark Gaines. They've all done an outstanding job, and they have shown great loyalty to me and the program. There's also been a number of graduate assistant coaches that have worked long hours to help our program. If there are graduate assistant coaches here, I see Dan and Aquino and some of the other guys. If you'll please stand and be recognized. We have just Aquino and Dan. I appreciate the support of the athletic training staffs. Bill Tweehus was here when I got here, and of course Paul Higgs has been here since. The sports information staffs with Brad Muller and Al Weston. The strength and conditioning work that Dr. Mike Martino has helped our program with over the last probably dozen years. I really appreciate that. The friendship and support of friend and longtime supporter, the voice of the Bobcats, Scott McLeod. Our administrative secretary, Ms. Patty Weimer, has been a big help to all of us in the athletic department. We've had many outstanding team managers. Olivia Hill, I know, was here today, and she started watching ball games when she was 6 months old, right up about where she is right now on that side over there, and she grew up a great Bobcat fan, and she was our manager for 4 years. And she said a couple years ago when she left that she knew I wouldn't make it without her. In my coaching career, I've been fortunate to have many outstanding young men. You know, the number one factor in having a successful program, you've got to have the personnel. You've got to have the talented players, they have the right attitude, the team attitude, and have a great work ethic. And we've been blessed here to have a lot of those kind of players. It's really the daily interaction and the striving every day to reach our potential that I'm going to miss more than anything else about coaching here. These players have become part of our lives, part of our family. When our children were young, they babysat our children, they attended birthday parties, and they celebrated Thanksgiving and Christmas with us. Of the 37 years I've been coaching, 16 years were at other schools: Auburn Montgomery, Hardaway High School, University of Montevallo, and Patrick Henry Junior College, which is now Alabama Southern. For the past 21 years, I have enjoyed being a Colonial and a Bobcat. If there are any former Georgia College players, would you please stand? Sean, Ken, I know, and got a number of players standing back in the back. I just want to thank y'all for your hard work, for your dedication, and the way that you represented Georgia College when we traveled and played. And you've always done it in a very positive way, and that really is something I really appreciate. The most difficult part of my decision to retire was not getting a chance to coach this year's team. Since this past spring, we have been really excited about our 5 returning players, certainly Terrell, Lawrence's, Bloom, Alex, Kelvin, and we feel like we had an outstanding recruiting year. I will definitely miss working with this team, but I want to challenge them to work hard every day to pull together to have an outstanding season. I'm very touched today that my brother, Wayne, was able to come over here from Gunnersville, Alabama. Wayne's always supported me during my playing days and during my coaching career. If it had not been for Wayne talking to my parents about allowing me to continue to play basketball, I probably wouldn't be here today. My mother and daddy thought when you got to be about 10 years old, it's time to go to work. And my brother Wayne quit playing because he went to work. When I came along, Wayne, being the favorite son, was always he was able to convince my parents, please let Terry play. He can work in the summers, but let him continue to play. And that's obviously something I've loved playing and coaching, and I appreciate that. I'd like to thank my family for their support. My coaching has always been a family affair. Every year my children gain 15 brothers. Many families spend their time, I guess, going to movies, eating out, But we spent our weekends recruiting, watching basketball tapes, riding the team bus, and eating pizza. My daughter Sarah was always too much like her dad with her competitive spirit. On game days, it became a tradition. Before I would leave, I would ask my family, would you still love me if we lost? I would ask Kathy, will you still love me if we lose? She would say, sure, of course. I would ask Cooper, Cooper, will you still love me if I lose, if we lose? Cooper would say, I guess so. I would ask Sarah, Sarah, will you still love me if we lose? She would real quickly say, heck no, you better win. And she hadn't changed. It's still that way today, I think. But the highlight of my coaching career was having a chance to coach my son Cooper. A lot of people would comment to me that they knew it must be really hard to coach your son. But Cooper made it easy on me because of his team-first attitude and his strong work ethic. You know, and I could not imagine a coaching career without the 100% support of your spouse. I was fortunate that Kathy loved sports, and we met when I was playing at AUM and she was a cheerleader. You know, God knew that I needed a strong woman with a whole lot of patience and understanding. I'm also thankful that she's a good listener because I couldn't begin to count all the hours she spent listening to me talk about my teams. Many people have asked me about what I'm planning on doing in retirement. Well, I got a great offer this past Friday. Joseph A. Bank Clothing Company called and made me an offer that it's going to be hard to refuse. They want me to test the durability of their sport coats and their jackets. I know that I think Wendell had asked my family to maybe to stand up. If it's okay, I'd like for y'all to come down here so I can introduce them to you, because that's what my plans. And I think if you see and meet them, you'll kind of have a good indication of understand the plans that I have in retirement. Wayne, come on up, Wayne. Sean, Ken, that's okay. You know, God has blessed Kathy and me with two children that we're really proud of. This is Sarah, our daughter, and this is Cooper, our son. And I mentioned my brother Wayne earlier. And we're very blessed that they found spouses, perfect spouses for them. And Jody Dean, Jody became a Bobcat shortly after he met Sarah. Now, Mara Spall Sellers, she was already a Bobcat because she played for the Lady Bobcats. So she was already a Bobcat when her and Cooper met and got married. And we have these 4 grandchildren that I'm planning on spending as much time as I can with them. Our oldest right here, this is Anna Catherine Dean. This is Allie Dean. And Carson Dean is 16 months, and he's out running around. And this right here is our new addition. This is Luke James Sellers in his little GC onesie that he has on. So he is 3 weeks old, and I've already mentioned, of course, my brother Wayne. I leave Georgia College with so many great memories. It would take all day to go through them, through all of them. I want to thank Georgia College, everybody here, for 21 great years. And now I'm going to do something that referees kept telling me for 37 years. Coach, sit down and be quiet. So.
Hello, I'm Cooper Sellers, son of Coach Sellers, and I guess most of y'all have seen him coach and would agree that he's a pretty passionate and fiery guy. And I guess for most of you that I wish you could have seen him 15, 20 years ago, and he's kind of mellowed out the last 5 or 10 years, but I guess 20 years ago they would say that he was the second coming of Bob Knight with his antics, and most of you have seen those before, but he's just a very passionate guy. Would always write down plays and coming up with lineups, and but they were in church. So most of the people would look at him and say, you know what, look at him, a Christian guy, and he is, but he wasn't only writing notes down, it was plays and the lineup for that week. But I'm proud of my dad, and I'm proud of his accomplishments, and congratulations on retirement, and looking forward to spending some time with you.
And I'm Sarah. I just want to say congratulations. I wouldn't have picked another profession for my dad to have. I loved being in the gyms and getting to know the players and having them over. I would love when he got home, we would look at the stats together and, all right, how many turnovers, assist ratio, what percentage, and we would analyze it together. And he made me want to be a coach. And I teach now, but I could see in the future loving to coach. I enjoy coaching my girls. But one thing that I learned is to put God first, and just the hard work and dedication and what it takes. If you can work hard and be dedicated, then you can accomplish anything. But I just want to say congratulations and thank you for being that example for me.
I am Mara Sellers. I'm married to Cooper, and I'm so touched to be a part of this family and to be a part of this legacy that Coach Sellers has left here. I also think it's very important to add, Coach touched on it, but behind every strong coach is a strong woman. And Miss Kathy has been amazing as an example of a wife and a mother. And I'm so blessed now to have a son of my own and to raise him the way that they have raised their children to be. Sarah's one of my closest friends. Of course, I love Cooper, and I'm so proud to be a Bobcat and so proud to be a Sellers. So thank you, Coach, and thank you, Miss Kathy.
Again, I'm Jody Dean. I'm Sarah's husband. I'm not sure why, but when Sarah and I met, I was a basketball coach. Now, having grown up with Coach Sellers, I'm not sure why she decided she was going to marry me, but obviously I'm thankful for that, and I'm thankful for Coach Sellers, because when I became a head coach, he was a great influence on me, just being there, helping me along, giving me some stuff to do, just a constant resource for me. But again, like Mara said, just such a great example of a man, of a husband, grandfather, father, and I can just hope that I can live up to what he's done.
this was not the plan. I didn't know that I'd have a chance to get to the mic. As I look out and see, this has been our life. It's the only life I know. It's being a coach's wife. Thank you for the friends who are here. You've been here through this time. The support you have given us and Georgia College is unbelievable. You are friends that we will have forever. It has been our daily talk. Terry has two things that he loves to write on: yellow legal pads and index cards. They are all over our house. They are more, everybody's laughing, y'all see them. I've got everywhere in my house, there are lists of the starting five, the next ones, who will go in. I have never seen as many sketches of a free throw, the basketball court, the plays written. But you need to know also on an index card has been your names in his Bible, where he has prayed for each one of you, not in your ability as a basketball player, but as a young man one day in a home. You have dominated our conversations, like he said. It's been wonderful. I've never once, people say, don't you get tired of it? I haven't. You don't get tired of having a life with young men like we've had. You risk wanting to share highlights. But I have to share two highlights, not to focus on a certain player, but the impact it had on the whole team. On the years that we had Julius Joseph, who was from London, England, his family couldn't come and watch him play until a teammate and his family made it happen for his mother to come. And the whole team was in on it, and it was a surprise. And Terry called a team meeting on a night where they wouldn't have had a team meeting, but in the locker room, that mother came in and surprised her son. And she got to spend a whole week getting to know his teammates and getting to watch him play. And it was a highlight, getting to know her. Another, many of you have heard or knew of Jack Gibbs, and the influence that Jack Gibbs had when his sons, Duke and Aaron Gibbs, played on our team, and his nephew, Matt. And we rallied around that family. But it was a blessing that a friend of Duke's, and Duke got to fly his dad up 1 month before he passed away to get to go see Aaron play. And I wasn't at that game, but I was listening on the radio. It was in Richmond. And as the story goes on, Aaron, who was a three-point shooter, hit a three-pointer, got fouled, and got to go and make the free throw and make a 4-point play. And Jack got to see that. And that's a highlight that we talk about often. Thank you. God bless you for making our life wonderful. Thank you for all of you who've made efforts of driving a long way, having to shift schedules and change plans to be here with us today. Thank you, and we will always love you. Thank you. One other thing is that nothing is more valuable than to hear you call him coach. But what's fun is that his grandchildren call him coach, and that's, instead of granddaddy, it's coach. And he's going to get to hear that a lot.
I'll be brief. I know everybody's ready to finish this, Coach. Terry is an excellent example of someone who follows God's calling in his life. And when you follow God's calling, you do what God has called you to do with the passion and the hard work and the dedication that Terry has, then you've seen the results this afternoon. And Pam and I could not be any prouder of Terry. Terry started out as a young kid playing ball all the time, working hard, and I remember he would shoot literally 1,000 free throws a week anyway, and he used to run when he was in junior high and high school with weights on his ankles. He started all the hard, intensive work that it's routine for players now, but back in those years, he was the only one practicing year-round. And I'm just, Terry, Coach, so proud of you and your family. He's been so blessed with his family and his career, and I just praise God and thank God for all of that. Thank you.
I always say there's nothing more important than your family, and here's the best example. Terry, thank you. Kathy, thank you. Here's what we'll do. Terry, you need to meet with our media folks because they'll need to get out of here and get deadlines. So we'll have Terry down here. If our media folks can go ahead and get with him. And then if you guys will visit, and then probably in about 5 minutes we'll be ready. Guys, thank you all for coming. Thank you, Coach Sellers. Thank you.